Welcome back. This is the Allegheny Northern in N scale, and today we're going to be talking about some Bullfrog Snot. So, before I get into why exactly we're talking about that, let me first talk to you about why we're doing it. So, this is the coaster locomotive. It's an Athearn model, DCC installed by me, and it is pulling the Athearn coaster commuter cars. And the cars have, well, let's just say their axles are a little bit shot, and they don't turn quite as smooth as they should. But as you can see, there's only 3 cars behind this locomotive, and we are just struggling to get up this hill. It will make it, kind of, sort of, right to about there. Oh, it's not gonna quite go. Maybe it makes the top, and there it is. Okay, so we made the top. But you saw the struggle, and the struggle is real. Let's look at it going. Okay, when I say going the other way, I do mean on the other grade, which is a little bit steeper, and we're going to be in a push mode. And let's just watch this commuter train here go up the grade about as far as it'll go. And you can just hear that wheel spinning, and that's it. We're done. We're not going any further. And no matter how much I ramp it up, it's just not going to go. So let's try putting some Bullfrog Snot on, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we got our locomotive on our workbench, and for those of you who do not know what this is called redneck engineering. So for those of you who are overseas or have never heard the term, redneck engineering is when you take something that's not supposed to be used for what it's used for, and you basically make it work. So you sort of engineer it, but not really. So what I got here is a basic contraption to hold this locomotive in place, get power from the DCC system on the layout to spin the wheels, and there's my alligator clips. So I've got a piece of old track, it's holding on to the front wheels, and here I am applying my Bullfrog Snot right there. And the process is as advertised. You basically just take a little bit, put it on. They use a toothpick, I'm using a small screwdriver, and just let the motion of the wheels, which is moving away from the applicator, touch onto the wheels and get yourself a nice coating. And basically this material will do the rest itself as far as the coating. Now it says to apply it on at yard speed, and then you got to keep it spinning until it turns a dark green color. So while the wheel is spinning and drying, it is supposed to basically self-level and get you to a point where it'll create the traction tire on the model. I'm only doing that one set of rear wheels. I want electrical pickup on all of the others. So while this thing is spinning and leveling itself out, let me show you the instructions. Okay, and here are the instructions. So you set it up, you put it on, you let it rotate, smooth it out, and wait till it turns that color. Keep it from freezing, and no kryptonite. Okay, so made in the USA by a veteran. Always like supporting veterans whenever I can. Did not know that when I purchased this, but that is awesome. And that's what we're doing. So that's the instructions, and we're gonna let it happen. And then let's take it up, the locomotive on the layout, and see if she works. Okay, so we are back next day, and let that stuff dry overnight. So let's see what she does. Remember, we did the rear truck rear wheel, and as you recall, we couldn't even push these 3 cars up this grade, and it looks like we're slipping a little bit, but well, there she goes. So first test, it seems to have worked. But I think that I'm going to do one more wheel, maybe on the front truck, to really give it that, that definite grab. But I can pull it down here, and let's just run it back up one more time. So we're starting it kind of already on the grade, and Well, there it goes. Okay, so let's try this grade now. This is right by the intermodal. As you recall, I did make it up here with a little bit of slipping and sliding, but let's give it a little bit of juice, and let's see how she does. Okay, about halfway making the crossover, and she's not even stuttering. Gets to the top and keeps on going. Okay, so I think with the test proving here that one axle on the rear truck definitely makes a difference. So now I want to try something, and that is I want to take the rear axle of the front truck here, and I want to coat that, and let's see what happens. So that means I'll have one on the back, one on the front, and let's see, because I know it was still struggling a little bit over there. So let's see if that makes a difference, and we'll go ahead and do that. Come back. Okay, so we are at day 2. We've got a front truck that is coated, and we have a back truck that is coated, one wheel on each, and we're going to send her back up the hill here just so you can see what she's doing, and give her a little poke there. Okay, as you can see, she will make the climb, and she definitely has the traction that she didn't have before, so that's all good. And there we are, cresting the hill, and you recall this locomotive could not make it up the hill with 3 cars in tow, and of course, going downhill, there's no problem at all because, well, that's dirty track. That's not the locomotive. But anyway, so as far as adding traction tires using Bullfrog Snot, it worked. But let's talk about some things that I noticed about this product before you go slapping it on all of your locomotives. Okay, so here is the coaster train, and I've got the throttle up, and that's what I wanted to show you right there. Did you notice how it stopped? Okay, let's take it around. I didn't touch it. It found its own. It's found its own go, and you can hear how it's sort of slipping. It's not slipping. It's slowing and then stopping, and so here's some things that I noticed. I don't know if it's because I took the the ability for it to pick up on all 4 wheels. That's the issue. But you can see that it makes the grade. It doesn't struggle. So as far as being a traction tire, it does do that. And I know I got some dirty track, so I'm not gonna say that I'm not to blame here for some of this. Okay, so we're back, and I did a couple of things off camera, trying to do some troubleshooting. So what I noticed was the locomotive was stopping at the same places around the layout every time. So normally when that happens, I go, dirty track. So I cleaned the track in those areas. There was 4 areas, real good, and then sent the train out, and it did a little bit better, but it still kind of sputtered and stalled. That was one of the areas back there, and that didn't fix it. So I went, okay, well, typically that's telling me that for some reason I'm losing power there. That there's something that is stopping that circuit. So I went, okay, well, maybe just it's because I don't have enough wheels touching the metal. So what I did is I removed the traction tires, and it came off real easy, from the back truck. So right now the only traction tire is on the front. It's on the front truck. It's the second wheel set. So that one right there. Okay, and it's running now. What I'm going to show you is that it still goes up the grade. Okay, so I think it would be better if I could get 2 sets of traction tires on here. So if I had one on the front and on the back, I think that would help this locomotive. But my goal was to bring life back to it, and I was able to do that. So the product works, I guess is what I'm saying. There's just some nuances to it that it's not really in the instructions, and I understand why, because every locomotive is going to be a little bit different. So this product, this train is back. It's now, you've seen it make an entire layout loop, so it works. And the problem was that with 2 sets of traction tires on it, I just did not have enough of the trucks touching and picking up power, and it just wasn't working. But now that it is, and it climbs the grade, I can put the coaster back into service. So okay, so in closing of this video, what I want to do is give you guys an honest opinion, my lessons learned, so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. And here's takeaway number 1. You're going to do 1 axle. I don't care how big your locomotive is. So choose the axle. I would choose one that's more towards the center, just because that's going to give you a better concentration of weight from the locomotive. So I don't think it matters whether you do front truck, back truck, whatever you use will work. But pick something that's got a little bit of weight on the truck. So I didn't pick this wheel set, right? Because this one's over the platform, and so it's going to be lighter, right? Something like here, it's got some weight from the body, so it's going to have, it's going to have a little bit more weight on it. Didn't pick this one here because, well, it's over the cab, and the cab's hollow, so you can see inside. So I picked this one on both locomotives. The next thing is, when you apply it, is the speed of the wheels at which they turn. So it says to put it at yard speed. I have determined that yard speed is fairly slow, so like it's a 10% throttle on a lot of these locomotives. It's going to change based on the locomotive that you have and how fast, your speed tables or your settings, whatever it is. So be careful how fast you get it to go, because if it's going too fast, what's going to happen is centrifugal force is going to pull it into the center, and it's just going to get stuck along the flange, and it's going to get funky on you. So you don't want to do that, because it's going to make it derail. And then the next thing that I'm going to tell you that you're going to want to do is get it nice and smooth, because if it's not smooth, your locomotive is going to bounce, like it's hitting like bumps on the road, and it looks really funky. You're going to notice it a lot in this locomotive, but as you can see, look how much play is in this locomotive. And so any little bump, and this whole locomotive shakes back and forth. This one is a lot tighter, but for some reason this particular model wiggles a lot, and I noticed that a lot of folks were complaining about that on online. And these were the first 2 BLI locomotives that I bought, and I'll be honest with you, I was not impressed. I did, they looked okay, and I really like the SD40-2, especially the high hoods, especially in Southern, and so these things never worked well for me out of the package. And had I not bought the Southern Heritage unit, which runs beautifully, it looks great, I probably never would purchase a BLI model again based on these 2. And so they couldn't pull anything. I mean, they could not, even on flat surfaces, they just couldn't, they didn't pull. They were just not good locomotives. I'm really looking forward to Scale Train's release of the SD40-2s. I've already got mine pre-ordered, so when they come out, even if they're 50% better than these, they'll be a better buy than these models. But the reason I've got these hooked up here is they could not pull this 8-car consist up, so I've stopped the train halfway up the hill, and I want you to see what it's going to look like when they move forward. So here we are. I am at about 10% throttle, and you can see that first locomotive's kind of shaking, rattling, and rolling. Nothing I can do about it. That is not the problem of the Bullfrog Snot. But the point is that this train is making it up the hill. And you're getting that unrealistic rattling, but I can't do anything about it. So you are noticing that the train stopped there. When you take away one of the wheel sets from power pickup, I've noticed on all of these locomotives, it makes it a little temperamental. And if the tracks aren't perfect, or there's a little dirty spot, or it is an issue. So I'm gonna let these locomotives run around for a little while and see if it sort of smooths things out a little bit. But as you can see, I can pretty much, stop it on the grade and reverse it and bring it back up the grade, and it pulls the train. So here's my final thoughts on Bullfrog Snot. Does it work? Yes. Is it easy? No. Do you have to be pretty good at it? Yes. So you're going to have to play with it a little bit to get the coating on there right, to get it smoothed out right. Does the product work? Yes. If you do more than one truck or more than one axle on a locomotive, no. So you need to make sure you've got good electrical contact. And see, for some reason they're getting hung up here. I know the track is clean. I cleaned the track. And I just don't know what it is about taking away that one axle that's an issue. But in any event, I mean, so the product is, I guess, complicated is the best way I can put it. It's going to take a little bit of practice for me to get it to where the coating is smooth and we don't lose, electrical contact. But it will get a train up the hill. So, for doing what it's supposed to do, yes, it does work. So if you're going to try it, I'd say give it a shot. And good luck. You got to make sure your wheels are clean on your locomotives before you apply this stuff, and then after that, just play with it, test it out, see how it is. See what it does for you, and if you follow those steps, I think you're going to be okay with getting it to run. But yeah, it's a little complicated. It's definitely an option. It's definitely a solution, but it takes a little bit of work. And it's gonna make these two locomotives basically usable again. But anyway, so that's my review. Yeah, it works. Yeah, it's complicated. Give it a shot. See if it works for you. I'm not going to give it a ringing endorsement because I've had a lot of trouble with it. I'm going to assume that that's my fault in applying it. But it is an option. I'm going to keep playing with it until I get it right, I guess.